If you have a lot of discomfort in the low back or pain in the low back and hips, today's class might be for you. Richard is here with us today to demonstrate the low back sequence. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Let's get started. Start seated comfortably. We'll bring the hands together at heart center into anjali mudra, closing the eyes or take a soft gaze. And we take these first few moments in the beginning of class to settle into this room. Settling into this space. Settle into your body. And your breath. Feel the breath move in and out of the nose. Establish your belly breath or your full deep breath. Every inhale is expansive. Every exhale a natural contraction. We'll take a collective sigh together. Inhale deeply. Let it go. The lips close. The breath continues to move in and out of the nose. And taking your time to release your hands, slowly opening the eyes and transitioning into child's pose. You want to have the big toes touch. The knees go wide, the hips relax to the heels. If you need to, you can always place a blanket between your hips and heels or a rolled blanket behind your knees. And taking this position as a way to start to gently stretch into the hips, to elongate and stretch the spine. And remain connected to your breath. Every inhale, the belly expands. Every exhale, the navel naturally draws in toward the spine. And see if you can start to feel the breath gently expand into the low back. And when you inhale, there's a gentle stretch in the low back. And the exhale is complete. The navel draws in toward the spine. Another full breath here. Let any tensions, unnecessary gripping that you might be noticing in your back and your hips to release with your outgoing breath. And with your next inhale, bring yourself up to table, all fours, aligning the wrists underneath the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips. And it's up to you. You can curl the toes under or you can keep the tops of the feet to the floor. And starting in this table position where the spine is relatively parallel to the ground, the neck is holding the head, the heart is relaxed down towards the floor, keeping the head of the arm bones gently drawn in into the sockets. The muscles of the arms are firm. And with your next breath or two, scanning from the foundation up, fingers are wide, four corners of the hands are glued to the floor. Muscles are firm along the arms, supporting all the way up to the shoulders. The legs feel like they're holding you, that you feel steady. And with your next inhale, move into cow. Your inhale, the tailbone reaches back, pelvis drops forward, belly relaxes down, chest forward, head up. As you exhale, round the spine. We do this from the pelvis. Pelvis tilts back, rounding the spine, head relaxes down. Inhale into cow, tailbone reaches back, pelvis tilts down, the whole spine follows, reaching up with the head. And as you exhale, round from the pelvis, tailbone drops down, round the spine, and the head relaxes down. Do two more. The inhale, pelvis reaches back, tilts in, belly relaxes down, head forward. Exhale, tailbone drops, rounding the spine, relaxing the head. One more. Deep breaths with this. So want to feel a gentle movement, Stretching, toning through the entire spine, the front and back of the torso, and moving within your comfortable range of motion. And return to table, neutral spine. Bring the insides of the legs to touch at midline. And if your toes were curled under, uncurl the toes so you have the tops of the feet to the floor. You might need to widen the hands here a little bit for this hip release, keeping the four corners of the palms glued to the floor. Firm the lower abdomen so that you feel your low back is supported. Relax the heart down, securing the shoulder blades towards each other. Good. Now we take an inhale here at center. Exhale, drop the hips to the right. Going only as far as comfortable, knees stay connected to the ground. Inhale through center. Exhale the hips to the other side. Elbows can bend as needed, but the hands remain glued to the floor. About 2 more to each side. The inhale is through center. The exhale to the side. You might also feel the stretch through the outer edge of the leg. About 1 more to each side. Use your breath. Keeping the knees connected to the ground. The shoulder blades stay firm on the back. Good. Releasing the breath to the side. And once you feel even on both sides, come back to center. Keep the big toes touching, widen the knees, and return to child's pose, Balasana. Take care to have the forehead touching down to something so we support the spine. So that might be the floor, it might be a block if you feel like your head is floating. And there should be complete ease here in the body, in the shape. So modify as you need to, using blankets when you need to. And we take about 2 to 3 more breaths here. Feel the breath expand the belly, expand the low back. You might start to feel the breath expand the front of the ribs and the back of the ribs. So we use our breath to help further stretch and tone the muscles in the body. And using the exhales to release any unneeded tension. Releasing, gripping. With your next inhale, come up to table. All fours, again, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips, and we curl the toes under here if that's available to you, taking an opposite balancing stretch. And we move into this slowly, moving only into the stops that feel comfortable for you. So start with the right leg, keeping the toes curled under, slide the right leg long behind you, keep the foot connected to the floor to start. Level the hips, and then if this is enough, stay here, keeping the abdomen firm gently so the back here is supported. Good, and then maybe there's a tennis ball, an imaginary tennis ball underneath the left palm. So the left palm lifts and the fingertips are connected to the ground slightly in front of you. Steady the breath here. Good. If you are able and you want to go a little bit further, maybe lifting the leg. If you had your hands on the fingertips, you can build from there, lifting the left arm up parallel to the floor. Another breath here. We want to feel the muscles here in the back working. Shaking here is normal. Deep intrinsic muscles are working. With your exhale, good, release down to table. And then we take the other side. The left leg goes long. The toes remain curled under. Taking a breath, squaring the hips. The abdomen is firm enough that you're still able to breathe comfortably, but you're supporting the back. And then if you explored further on the other side, maybe the right fingertips are on the ground with the right palm lifted as if there was an imaginary tennis ball. Maybe the hand walks out further in front of you. If you are feeling comfortable here, you can go further, lifting the leg, the arm, maybe one, the other, or both. Creating this balancing effect. You might feel like you're seesawing in the beginning, but that's okay. We're getting the muscles working. Good. Another breath here. And use your exhale to come to table. Nicely done. And child's pose. Big toes touch, knees go wide. You might start to find that your knees are comfortably going a little bit wider, so whether or not they do, either is okay. And we take this shape today, our balasana shape, child's pose, in a passive way. So we use it as a rest, letting the body rest in this shape, letting the hips naturally be heavy towards the heels, towards the ground. The heart relaxes down. About 2 more breaths here, breathing deeply, exhaling completely. Another breath. Now with your next inhale, come up to table. Exhale here as you readjust. And we move into lunge, right leg first. Move the right leg in between the hands, and we set our foundation. Check that your feet are parallel to each other, legs are relatively parallel. The front knee over the front ankle, so it's about 90-degree bend. You can have your hands here on the floor on fingertips. You can be up on blocks if you need the floor a little bit closer to you. So make sure that your shoulders here are supported and comfortable. You're not straining to reach the floor, extending out through the back heel. Now with the breath, the inhale, heart reaches gently forward, the knee remains bent at 90 degrees, and as you exhale, straighten the front leg, pull back on the right hip, square the hips and fold. Inhale, front knee bends, heart gently reaches forward. You want to think your gentle cow back. As you exhale, straighten the front leg, pull the right hip back, squaring the hips, good, and to fold. One more, inhale, bending the front knee, heart forward. Exhale, straighten the front leg to fold. Now the next time you bend the front knee, we transition to the other side. You can bring the back knee down, transition through table, or you can transition through downward facing dog. Set your foundation, check in from the foundation up, take a breath. And we begin to move with your inhale, heart gently forward, front knee remains bent. As you exhale, straighten the front leg, actively pulling back on the left hip to square the hips, good. Inhale, heart reaches forward. Exhale to straighten the front leg to the best of your ability, fold. Move within your comfortable range of motion, one more. Beautifully done. The front knee bends. We return to table, back knee touches down. Good. And then from table, coming onto your seat, bringing the legs out in front of you. Now, if you need the additional support for your posture, for your hips, for your back, you can take your blanket folded underneath the hips. We want the legs extended out. Imagine the soles of your feet are against an imaginary wall, right? So the toes are pointing up. Hands for Dandasana, for our staff pose, go in line with the hips if that's available to you. And you'll use an inhale to elongate the spine. Good. The chin parallel to the floor, the top of the head over the heart, over the pelvic floor. Now, if you need the additional support for your back, you can always have your hands behind you and the heart still remains floating up. You're still reaching up through the top of the head. Another breath here. And check in with the legs. If you need extra support here in the legs, a rolled blanket can be placed underneath the knees. We move into a twist. Bend your right knee in towards the chest. Good. Now you'll either keep the legs parallel or you can place the right foot up and over the left. If you're placing the leg in this way, you want the big toe mound of the foot that's crossed over of the right foot glued to the floor, and you want the right hip glued to the floor. The left hand will stay on the left knee. The right hand goes behind you. Now the hips are secured down, rooted, and the twist will start from what feels like within the hips, your foundation without the hips moving. So we inhale first to grow tall. And then as you exhale, begin to twist from the low back to the right. So we twist the low back, the ribs, the shoulders. Every inhale growing taller. Every exhale maybe twisting a little further. If it's available to you, your left elbow can hook on the outer edge of the right knee. And we want to take care to keep the jaw relaxed. The base of the neck is slightly soft in here so we're not over efforting. Another breath. And we use an inhale to come out of this safely. Inhale to slowly come through center. Keep the legs as they are. Exhale here. And then we take an open twist. The right hand can stay on the knee. The left hand goes behind you, supporting the arms. Good. And then you can also, if you'd like, you can place your right elbow to the inside of the right knee. Secure the shoulder blades. Inhale to grow tall. And gently exhale, open twist from the low back, ribs, shoulders, head. So you want to imagine your torso is twisting around a central channel involving the entire spine. So we're not twisting from the head, we're twisting from the foundation up without the hips moving. One more breath here. Good. Inhale to center. Exhale, release. And then we switch sides. Left leg comes in. Now, if you cross the leg over on the other side, try to do that here so we keep the symmetry, the balance, if it's available to you. Right hand goes to the right knee, left hand behind you. Root down through the sitting bones. Inhale to grow tall. And then exhale, begin to twist. Again, from the foundation, without the hips moving, we're twisting to the left. This might take 2 to 3 cycles of breath, but this way you're doing it slowly. You're integrating the work. It's mindful. Good. Now, if you come up against pain, if your body comes up against a stop, make sure you back off from that place where you can comfortably breathe. So we do not do anything that doesn't feel good for us. And for some of us, we might stay in the seated position with the legs out in front of us and skip this twist altogether, depending on our backs, on our low back. Another breath. Now keep the legs as they are. Inhale back to center. And then as you exhale, we switch. The right arm goes behind you. The left hand or left elbow at the left knee. Good. Inhale, grow tall. And then exhale, begin to twist. Low back, ribs, shoulders. And lastly, the head. Keeping the top of the head over the pelvic floor. Good. Another breath. Now with your inhale, return to center. Extend the legs out in front of you, returning to Dandasana, staff pose. Hands can be in line with the hips. We sit tall, and if you like, you can point and flex the feet. And the next time the toes point up, relaxing the feet, and then find your way onto your back. If you need the added comfort, you can always place a blanket on the whole length of your mat, supporting, adding extra cushion. Once you lay down, hug the knees into the chest. So holding around the shins or behind the thighs. If you need the extra space in the knee joint, you can hold behind the thighs and gently rock side to side. A gentle massage on the spine, and notice the more that you draw the knees in towards the body, the more you'll feel the low back gently press against the floor. So if that feels good for you, maybe drawing the knees in a little bit closer. And return to center. Place the feet down for windshield wipers. So the feet will be placed out on the floor, knees are bent, feet wider than the hips. Your arms can be by your sides. If you want to work a little bit more also on the shoulders, you can open the arms up with the palms facing upwards. And with your exhale, the knees drop to the side. The inhale, the legs come through center. And exhale over to the other side. If you find that you need the floor brought closer to you, if you need a safety stop for the legs, you can place blocks underneath the outer edges of the legs so that that's where the legs stop as you do your windshield wipers. So take about 1 to 2 more, going side to side, and match the breath here. So the breath is going to help us to tone and stretch the muscles in the torso. We're working with the low back, the hips. Breathe with it. Should be about one more to each side. Good. Come back to center. And then keep the knees bent, bring the feet in parallel to each other and hug the right knee into the chest. And take a breath here. And you can do a little bit more with the hip here if you let the knee fall out to the side and then you continue to pull it down to the outer edge of the torso, the outer edge of the ribs towards the underarm. Now, if this is enough for your body, for your hip, for your low back, stay here. Otherwise, we go into number 4. Place the right ankle just below the left knee. Keep the sole of the foot parallel to the wall it's facing. Ankle and knee in line. Arms can return by your sides. And 2 to 3 breaths here. If you'd like to add movement, you can keep the number 4 and rock the legs side to side, going as far as comfortable, or you can remain stationary. And we return to center. Hug the right knee into the chest to release the shape. And then we do the other side. The left knee comes in. So hug the, yeah, good. We hug the left knee in towards the chest. And if you did it on the other side, let the left knee fall out to the outer edge. You can use both hands or one hand here. If this is enough, you can stay here. Otherwise, moving into number 4, place the ankle just below the opposite knee, the sole of the foot parallel to the wall it's facing, right, or parallel to that edge of the mat. And we breathe into it. If you sway the legs on the other side, you can sway them here side to side. And remember, you can have the blocks under the outer edges of the legs if you need that safety stop here. So using our breath, using the movement to get into the hips, the low back. Good. We return to center. Hug the left knee into the chest to release the shape. And then maybe both knees come into the chest. Hugging them both in. And we take a breath here. And if it feels comfortable for you to do so with your neck, your upper back, you can always bring your forehead or your nose up towards the knees. And then we release the head. The feet come to the floor and the knees are bent. We move into a supported bridge pose, a restorative variation. So the feet are parallel and bring the heels in a little closer towards the body if needed. You want to have the ankles just relatively underneath the knees or a little bit in front. And then you'll grab a block and you'll press down through the feet, float the hips up and place the block underneath the sacrum. So the sacrum is the triangular bone between the hips. And you'll know that this is safe and steady for you, that if you lift one leg up just a few inches and you don't feel any crunching in the low back, you can release that leg, test it out on the other side, lift the leg. Good. And then release the leg. Now, if the block is too harsh, you can use folded blankets instead, or place the blanket over the block, or even use a bolster. The arms by your sides, let the palms open up towards the sky. Take care here that the back of the head is resting comfortably on the mat. If you need support for the neck, it's just a small neck roll, small towel maybe, or the edge of a blanket under the neck. We don't want to lift the head here too high. And this position can help for most people to create a healthy elongation in the spine. And we'll be in this shape for about 2 minutes. So allowing the eyes to close, let the breath move naturally on its own. The breath moving in and out of the nose, letting the hips relax to the block. Allow yourself to just be here. for the second half. You can stay like this, or if you'd like, you can extend the legs out long, resting the back of the heels to the floor. Remember, there should be no pain. There should be no discomfort here. So if it doesn't feel good, you can return to the knees bent, feet to the floor. And again, we rest here. Let the breath come and go. A few more cycles of breath here. And very slowly, if your legs are extended out, bend the knees, place the feet to the floor. We pause here, take a breath. And when you're ready to come out of this safely, you'll press down through the feet, float the hips up. We'll move the block, release the hips down to the floor, take a breath. And if you'd like to take any other stretches before your final resting pose, you can do that here. If you're ready to go into your final rest, you can extend the legs out, and I suggest placing a bolster underneath the knees. This will help to support the low back, letting the legs rest hip width apart or wider. And as you release the muscles of the legs, the hips, the back, you'll feel the legs kind of flop open, the arms by your sides, relaxing the torso, arms, shoulders, face. And we'll settle with a sigh breath. We use it to let go. Inhale deeply. And let go. Enjoy your conscious rest. Slowly begin to notice your breath. Slowly bring your attention back to your breath. Feeling the navel rise and fall as you breathe. And feel your body as you enjoy a slow awakening, wiggling toes and fingers, opening and closing the hands a few times, and pointing and flexing the feet. You can hug the knees into the chest, take windshield wipers, or a full body stretch, slowly waking up the back, the hips, and keeping the eyes closed. And you can roll onto your comfortable side whenever you feel ready, supporting your head with your bottom arm or your blanket or block. And still keeping the eyes closed. Press up to seated whenever you're ready. Sitting comfortably and bringing the hands together at the heart. And we'll close with a single Om. Receive your breath. We bow head to heart in honor of each other, ourselves, in this practice. Thank you for joining us today. Namaste.
Namaste.